Hi, thank you for clicking on today's video. If you're new here, I go by Nicky T, and I love creating tech, gaming, and PC related build content. In this video, we're gonna focus on three major components. The first is gonna be RAM, because obviously it's insane right now. Next, we're gonna focus on the processor, and then last, we'll focus on the GPU. These are the three products that I think if you can find, especially on sale or used, you can save a significant amount of money on your total build. The rest don't matter as much. And honestly, even new, they're not as expensive. Like the cooler, storage maybe, but I don't know. I personally don't really look for used storage. Power supplies, motherboards, your case, all of that you can find new or used. It's really not that expensive. So if you take out the heavy hitters, then you can save a ton of money on your build. So if you didn't see my last few videos, then you'll see that I actually built this PC. You can go back and actually check out the playlist. What I'm going to do is actually create playlists going forward for the specific builds, and then every video that's about that build will be in that playlist. So go ahead and go check those out. But if you didn't see it, then I built a 3060 with a 5600X, and I actually ended up building it. I think I hit like $705. Now, the way that I was able to achieve that, especially in 2026 in this market, was buying parts used that made sense and then looking for sales and then piecing it together over time. Now, in today's market, it's going to be really difficult for you to try to build a PC that's cost effective at any level, budget or high tier, whatever you're looking at, just because of how bad the PC market is right now. But what I want to do is be able to create my PC builds, and then if you are intending to build that build, this is actually going to be a guide to help you try to make purchasing decisions, because it's going to vary drastically depending on where you're looking for components. And I'm just going to give you some of the workflow that I have when I'm actually looking for deals. And this is how I actually piece together my builds, because I'm looking to save money just like the rest of you, because I don't have huge sponsors for this channel and I purchase everything out of pocket. So if you want to support the channel, drop a like on the video for me, subscribe if you want to see more. And then drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this format. Do you like what I'm doing? And what kind of PCs are you really interested in, and content in the future? I'm really big on community, and I really love responding to comments. And then on top of that, I did launch memberships. And if you guys do decide to sign up with memberships, it's going to directly support that vision. So I appreciate you guys. Let's jump right into this one. So first up, what we're going to do is I've just taken a bunch of screenshots. That way I could easily work through this and move as quickly as possible and not really try to waste your guys' time and make this a little more streamlined. So first up, what we're gonna look at here, make this a little bigger for you guys. So depending on where you're looking, prices they change dramatically. And what I wanna do is just show you a landscape of how to scan different sites and sites that I look at personally. So if I actually ended up purchasing the Corsair Vengeance 32GB kit at 3600 mega transfers, and I actually got these for $140 used on Facebook Market. Now, I wanted to highlight that because if you look at Newegg, look at this, the prices all over the place. Generally, you're going to be paying pretty premium prices, especially on Newegg, because Newegg, there's a lot of resellers that go in there, and honestly scalpers that go crazy on Newegg. I found Newegg to be the best personally for processors. That's where I go to Newegg for. But you can see, so $299, $270, that's literally double what I was paying on Facebook Market. So we're gonna jump over to that and show you guys the next one. So Jawa is next up on our list. So Jawa is, I would say it's highly recommended if you're afraid of being scammed. I think they do a good job vetting it. There's a lot of tech YouTubers that endorse it. It's going to be more almost like Facebook Market, where you're buying from somebody, but they have to go through a vetting process, and there's a lot of protection in for you as a buyer. Same thing kind of with Newegg. You have a 30-day policy. Some of it's non-returnable. Just remember, you pay attention to that. But on Jawa, I would say it's going to be more community driven with PC enthusiasts, and you have a little bit more protection. With that being said, you have anywhere from, on this, $250. This one's going for $185. That might be a good buy for you. So I found Jawa being on the higher side of the market personally, but you do have more of that if you're afraid of being scammed, peace of mind, right? So it depends on what your level of risk is and how big your wallet is to make that decision. But Jawa can be a good source for that. Definitely check that out. I think right now the prices, I would definitely lean towards Jawa over Newegg. So we're going to look at just a random market. Now your market's going to depend, especially on Facebook Market, depending on where you live. I actually ended up typing in LA because LA has a huge market for PC builds and stuff, and you can see a wide range here. Certain markets, if you look it up, you may only see 1 or 2 postings or none at all for what you're looking for. Now you can see here, let's see what's the lowest one. $120, I think $100. Now that's for 16 gigs. $99 for, that's a quad kit. No, I wouldn't do that. I would do 2. $120 is the lowest that I'm seeing for 32 gigabyte, 3200 mega transfers. And it is a DDR4 kit. I think I forgot to mention that earlier, but I did a AM4 DDR4 build. So on Facebook Market, it definitely is going to have the best pricing from what I've seen. It's definitely on the lower pricing quartile in the market. However, there's a lot more risk and there's a higher chance of being scammed. I would never buy from Facebook Market if it's not an in-person exchange. So keep that in mind. And if you can, ask to test them out before you send payment or something like that, or figure out a way that you can test them. Test anything from Facebook Market just to protect yourself. Now, I look for people that have like high reviews. They seem like real people. Reverse really like a person, you know what I mean? Seem like they have their Facebook profile for a while. Use those to help guide me. And I haven't always tested everything that I've bought, and I've been okay so far. So just take that with a grain of salt. People do get scammed. It happens. So next up is eBay. So eBay is an interesting one. It can be a really good option, especially if you're looking to save as much money as possible. As you can see, there's this 124-inch kit right here, or $125 kit, sorry. So you can see that it's going to have good pricing, especially if you're looking for used or open box items, even new, especially if you get into a bidding war or something like that. It does require a little bit more effort. There's not a physical exchange, and you don't have the other protections that are in place as much as some of the other platforms. I'm not 100% sure on what eBay's policy is. I haven't really bought that much from eBay personally. It's kind of one that I help look to see what pricing is across the market, and then I use my other sources. So I honestly use eBay as middle ground for middle of the market, and that's how I leverage eBay instead of actually purchasing from it personally. But some people swear by eBay, so it's up to you. And then last up, I have Amazon. Now, I am actually a huge proponent from buying a lot of things on Amazon. However, Amazon is a place where you can easily overspend if you don't know the pricing of an item across the market, new or used, because there's a lot of resellers, and you have to find when it's specifically sold by the original seller or by Amazon.com directly. So keep that in mind. As you can see here, there's a wide range of pricing, and it was actually difficult to find the exact memory kit that I had. So you're gonna find a range for sure, but say for this top one here, the Vengeance, I was actually looking at buying these before I decided to buy them used. 242 new really isn't too far off, especially depending on your risk tolerance in the used market. But overall, I think that's worthy of you considering buying there. Just keep that in mind that you're across the low to high spectrum in pricing, just depending. But it's a good place. Amazon has a lot of protections for you in place. If you get something that wasn't expected, you could return it generally. So keep that in mind. And I do purchase a lot of components from Amazon personally. So in that first segment, we covered looking at used RAM and some of my preferred channels to look for used RAM. Personally, I think Facebook Market is the cheapest. However, it has a lot of risk. Amazon, I think, is pretty controlled. Definitely check those out. Newegg is always a good one. But for now, we're going to switch gears and go into processors and look at the different websites across the processors. Processors are something that I generally will look to buy used, but just keep in mind, you want to make sure you're looking for some guidance here. Look to see if it has any weird discolorations, maybe burn marks. Definitely check the pins when you buy a processor if you're looking used. Make sure they're all straight. You can look up pictures online and see how many pins are supposed to be there, and you can visually look over the pins, make sure none are broken or missing. Definitely those are going to be your biggest issues, but generally I found that processors are a good way to buy used and save money. All right, so first up, we're going to look at Newegg. So Newegg is actually a place where I have found really good processor deals. Unlike buying other items, Newegg is where I would say check for processor deals because they have tray versions that you can buy. Now, basically, what a tray version is it's a non-consumer based unit where it would come in a packaged, those big Ryzen boxes. It'll just come with the little plastic tray, basically, and that's pretty much it. And it doesn't usually come with a cooler, but then you're not also paying for that. It's basically for companies that are doing pre-built PCs or something like that. But they're a good way to save money. So we're kind of going to use this as our guiding star here with about $160 new. If you're looking at the tray, and then you can see the boxed version is $241. So I actually bought my 5600X off of Newegg because of how inflated pricing is on the 5600X right now. And I actually bought it brand new for what people wanted. It was less than what people wanted on even Facebook Market for a used one. So keep that in mind. So we're gonna look at Jawa here. Jawa, you could see they actually don't even have a 5600X for sale. I don't know if it was in this bundle or not. I just wanted to see quickly if there was. 5600G, I would get a 5600X over that. 7600X 3D for $275, actually not too bad, but then you have to be on AM5 platform and that's just way more expensive. So Jawa actually didn't give me a good reference here, but again, Jawa is really good if you want peace of mind and you want to be able to try to save some money on the used market. So Facebook Market, you can see there's always tons of opportunity here. It does give you a range. You can see what the market for that, probably the low end of the market again. I've found Facebook Market honestly is where I find all of my crazy deals. So you can see a 5600X going for $110. Personally, I always try to get a good deal. If they post it for 110, I'm offering $100 and I'll say I'll buy it from you right now. $100, $90. Look for the people that just want to sell it. And then when you get there, meet in person and make sure that you're doing your due diligence and checking for damage or anything like that. Also, just check the person out if they're sketchy or not, right? But keep those in mind. So 110, 120, 160. But as you guys can see, this is why I bought it from Newegg, because I got it brand new for 160 and people are pretty close to that or more. 180 for a 5600X that's used? No way, I'm buying it new every time. So keep that in mind. Now, what I would look for in savings, you want to be able to have a significant savings to justify you buying it on the used market. If it's new 160 plus tax, it's probably like 175, 180 bucks, let's say, even at the high end. I would not buy a 5600X used unless I was saving 50%, 30 to 50%, depending on the product. Otherwise, I would just buy it new and then you have peace of mind and it's brand new. So keep that in mind, but that's just my personal feelings. If it's let's just say 180 brand new with tax, I would be looking for something for $100 or $90 to make me want to make that purchase. eBay is another one where you're going to see a range in the market. You can see brand new 150, that's a tray version, and 5600. So they have a pre-owned one that they want 144 or 145. So really, I would just buy it new. You're going to see all kinds of weird stuff. Again, I mainly use eBay to see the range of the market, and you get a very wide range. So I do that, and then I go to my other platforms to see where I want to purchase. 5600X, this is on Amazon. So again, Amazon, it's one that it's generally pretty consistent with how safe it is to purchase. However, you need to know the pricing that makes sense because you can easily overpay. Remember that. So it's at $224. They don't usually offer the tray versions as well. They usually only have the consumer boxed versions. This does come with a cooler for $224. So $224, up to you. You could save, I don't know, probably $50, $60 buying the tray version. Generally, I would save that money and then I'd buy an AIO. And then instead of that crappy Wraith cooler that comes with it. So that's what I would personally do, but it gives you an idea of how to gauge the market and check different places, right? So that's going to close out this section of the processors. Again, I look in several different locations for processors. I generally am okay with buying on the used market for processors. And I will generally prefer Facebook Market because I do like meeting in person and just going and getting it, and I can check out if I buy used. But Newegg is the sleeper place to actually buy processors with the tray version, money saved. Then you invest that in an AIO for the same price you would have paid for just that Wraith cooler version that's boxed, right? So on to the next. I'm going to recap that real quick. So hopefully you have a good idea on how to purchase used memory and the places that I like to look for and why I make certain decisions. And then hopefully you have a good idea on how to find a good processor deal, some of the places that I decide to look for, and now you have a good idea of how to look for yourself on used markets. Now, if this video is providing value to you, hopefully I earned at least, and hopefully I earned your subscription. And if this video really did help you tremendously and give you insights into knowing the market and where and how to use your money appropriately in the market and know what a good deal versus bad deal is, then consider memberships. Even at the lowest tier, you guys are fully supporting me personally and the growth of this channel. With that said, we're on the last one here, and that is the GPU. Now the GPU, 100%, usually I will try to find a used GPU. And the reason for that is they're generally pretty hardy. They usually don't have too many issues as long as they're working. Even if they were used for mining, that's something you want to know up front for sure. It could cause longevity issues. But a lot of the times you just have to reapply thermal paste and you're good to go. But it just kind of depends. It's going to be one of your biggest spends. So measure your level of risk, right, accordingly. And I'm hopefully going to give you guys some good advice here to make that decision and help you mitigate that risk, right? So first up, we got Newegg. Now here's the backstory too. I got a 3060 12 gigabyte EVG used on Facebook Market. I bought it probably 6 months ago, probably longer now. I bought it like when I first started midway of last year when I started doing tech videos, and I got it for $185 then because I found somebody that just wanted to sell it on Facebook Market, and it's been working fine. It's in this PC. I did all the testing for the video, and it's been awesome. And I got it for $185 then. You can still pay more than that today on that same card, so keep that in mind. So if you look at Newegg, you're seeing 320 to 350. I would never pay that for a 3060 in 2026, even a TI version. So keep that in mind. That's actually a 3070. I didn't even realize when I was taking the screenshot. They actually didn't even have a 3060 to review. That was the 12 gigabyte when I was looking at it. Only the 8 3080 or 3060 Ti's. So keep that in mind too. You can get a 3070 refurbished for the same price pretty much that they're charging for 3060 Ti. I would get a 3070 all day, but different video. So I wanted to show you guys that it's not always the best place. Again, Newegg I think is the GOAT for finding CPUs that are new with the tray version. Pretty much it from my perspective. Facebook Market, we're looking at this one. So Facebook Market, you're looking, again, this is going to be the best price, probably the bottom of the market, but it has the most risk. So you can see, let's see what the best price one, 170 for a 3060, but it doesn't tell you if it's 12 gigabyte or not. What's the lowest one? $200 for a 12 gigabyte. So if I was in your guys' shoes, I would be like 150 bucks. I'll meet you right now to buy it and see if they bite. And if they do, absolute steal of a deal today. Save you a ton of money. If not, barter with them a little bit. Try to get it for 160, 180 bucks, something like that. That's just my personal opinion, guys. This isn't financial advice, obviously, but just how I would actually go about trying to get a good deal on this. But you can see there's a wide range yet again, so just keep that in mind. This 150, 3060, you never know. It looks like it's the EVGA one for sure, but it could be only 8 gigabytes. So just make sure you check it out when you get there. Check the PCIe part right here. Just check the card in general for damage. It's going to be really hard for you to check to see if it needs new thermal paste without tearing it apart, or if, you know what I mean? It's going to be a little difficult. So this one, I definitely think you just got to do your best due diligence and see if there's anything wrong with it. Engage the person. When you're talking with them, ask them, is there any issues? Why are you selling it? You just go from there. If they're really pushing to sell it too, usually, I don't know about this person. If they're just like, chill, here's what it is. And then if they're not really pushing, then I'm like, cool. when I check it out. eBay again, I think is a good way to see where that market is. You're going to see everything. 280 new. As you saw from Facebook Market, you could probably get this for $100 less. So keep that in mind. You're looking at, I would say Newegg is like, Newegg and Amazon are at the higher end of the market. You have eBay, that's kind of the middle of the market, and Facebook Market's the bottom of the market, and Jawa fluctuates between all of them. But I find that Jawa sits on the higher end most of the time. And then Jawa, I found one, I only found one too. It was a 3060 12 gigabyte for $375. So in this instance, it's overpriced for a used one. At this price point, you could get a 5060, honestly. So I would recommend, if you're not saving, or if you're not around like $180 US dollars or lower at this point, I would pass on a 3060 12 gigabyte. And then Amazon, as you can see, here's the exact card that I had, and I got it for $185 used on Facebook Market, and Amazon has it listed for $445. Please do not pay $445 for a 3060 12 gigabyte just because it has 12 gigabytes of VRAM. At that point, you can start looking at a 9060 XT 16 gigabyte and you're going to get far better performance, or even a used 3080. At that price, you can also start looking at probably 4060 Ti level if you can find a good priced one that's competitive underneath $500. Even a 3070 is going to outperform it, and you can find those. I've been seeing 3070s used for around $200, 220 bucks. So just keep that in mind. It's an easy way to get, Amazon's so easy to make a transaction. Just make sure you're overpaying or not, right? So in this section, you learned how to look at 3060 prices across all the different platforms that I check, and hopefully you can know now how to look and measure what the bottom of the market is and where some of the higher end of the market is. And then you can figure out what makes sense for you, either to buy it new or used. And if it's used, know where that used price is. All right, so we've reached the end of the video. In this video, hopefully you learned how to look for used components or new, and how to check across all 5 different platforms, and you how to look for DDR4 prices, a CPU used price, and a GPU used price. Now obviously this is more specific to looking for a 5600X and 3060 and DDR4 kit at 32 gigabyte. And I didn't really pay attention too much to the megahertz. It really doesn't matter that much once you're over 3200 mega transfers. Now you have a good idea on how to actually look at the market, see where the bottom is, see how the top is, and then find that middle ground, and then be able to figure out, does it make sense for me to buy it used, or does it make sense for me to spend a little bit extra money and buy it new? And then where is that new price? You're gonna see prices different all over the board. So this is where learning the market can help you really save a lot of money. And if I didn't do that for this PC, I could have spent $1,000 instead of $705 like I did for it. So keep that in mind. And again, if you found value in this video, do me a favor, drop a like, let me know down in the comments what you appreciated or what you liked or didn't like. And I'm always looking to grow, both constructively and this YouTube channel in general. And then subscribe if you did actually enjoy it. And hopefully if you did enjoy it, hit those notification bells so when I post again. I try to post really consistently, at least twice a week, long form, and usually try to hit 5 times a week on shorts. Sometimes if I'm really feeling crazy, I'll post twice a day on shorts. Just kind of depends. But let me know down in the comments. Consider becoming a channel member, and I appreciate you guys. And hopefully that wasn't too long. I really tried to get through that, but I really wanted you guys to have a good understanding and foundation, because I don't want to see people be taken advantage of, and money is important to me and I work hard for my money, and so do you. All right, so I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.